Hi, Julia. Good morning.
Hi, Holly. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining me. I've got my coffee ready.
Me too.
Cheers. So I thought we could start off. Maybe you could tell everyone a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, what you did, how you got here, whatever you'd
Sure
like.
thing. So I'm Julia. I'm Polish. I was born in Poland to Polish parents. When I was 4, we all moved to Hamburg in Germany. That's where I grew up. Then I went to the States for a year to study in Nebraska, in the famous state of Nebraska. Not really famous. Still fun though, good state. And then I went back to Germany and started studying, and eventually I just fell in love with Spain. And I moved here. So that was 2005. So 15 years ago. And ever since, I haven't really moved. And I'm a teacher. I studied elementary school teaching. I'm an English specialist. I am an editor as well. So this is all what I've been doing really over the past, well, yeah, 15 years, teaching, editing. I've done some TV, and now I'm a radio presenter and a podcaster, which is what I mainly focus on right now, which is very, very exciting.
Awesome. So can you explain just a little bit how someone goes from English specialist teacher to having a TV show? and and I see that you've published some books as well, and you seem
Yeah,
to your journey has been quite maybe not the most typical of people who become teachers. So can you just
no.
talk a little bit about how that all ended up happening?
Well, the thing is, I used to call the problem that I like a lot of things. I can't really say this is what I want to do. This is what I really want to get into. I like bits and bobs here and there, which I used to call problematic because you always train into like being one specific thing,
Yeah.
which never really happened to me because I found a lot of things really, really interesting. And so it happened that I wrote a children's book because I studied elementary school teaching and I was an English teacher. I got the offer to write an English book for kids called Mi Mundo en Inglés. That was 2013, so 7 years ago. And that's where I kind of started getting into the whole writing and editing world. So I got into a big project that my previous company, Vaughan Systems, and Anaya did incorporation, which was an elementary school teaching project for elementary schools in Spain, which was very exciting. And then I discovered how much I really liked not necessarily the writing process, but the editing process. So I did a master's in editing, which was fantastic. It was good fun. I learned a lot, and because I had the hands-on experience, um, I just really loved it, because it was theory and practice and kind of
Yeah.
all together in one thing. And then kind of writing came back. Then I worked on my second book with my husband, which is a cookbook in English to teach English as well. So that's awesome. And then I got the possibility to do a radio show within the company Vaughan Systems, which was very, very scary. I remember the first time being on air. I still have to have everything scripted. Almost everything I say is scripted. But I really liked it. So I got a bunch of students on board and made like a radio lesson, really, because it was a course, a daily course from Monday to Friday, where people just tuned in, and the same group of students would kind of study with me.
Okay. So it was
So
like
that
you
was
were teaching, but it was being recorded and broadcast.
exactly. And a lot of shows on the radio were about, I don't know, entertainment. Others were just, I don't know, people just talking to practice conversation, listening skills. And I thought, like, why not do a proper continuous class,
Yeah.
you know and it was really, really, really successful. A lot of people joined in, and because you could actually see the progress of the people who start with a very low level, and then after a while you could see how much they've improved. It was amazing. So that's where kind of all came together. So I figured, if I do have the lesson plans for all of those lessons, if I have all those exercises, why don't I make that into another book? um, and I did. So it's a big book of like 300 or 400 pages in A4 size. It's very big. And then because of the cookbook, say what?
What's the book called?
English O'Clock, just like the radio show, English O'Clock. And then because I wrote the cookbook that I mentioned earlier called Let's Cook, I got in touch with a famous chef here in Spain and ended up teaching him. So it kind of went in the circle of teaching, writing, editing, writing, teaching. It's kind of everything I do is about this world of editing, writing, and teaching.
And cooking.
And cooking, yeah. Yeah, so that's it.
So your whole life is like a lesson on just follow what kind of piques your curiosity, and that will take you somewhere else, and then that will lead you somewhere different, and then you get curious
Absolutely.
about another thing, and then you go off that way.
Absolutely.
So where are you at now? What are you working on at the moment?
Well, right now I'm not working on another book, because I said with 4, that's about it. Like I'm done writing for now. But I am I am trying to expand the whole podcasting universe a little bit more, because I left the company in the end, and I did bring the podcast with me, so it stopped being called English O'Clock and started being called English O'Clock 2.0, because I didn't want to change it too much, because the idea was still essentially the same. I recorded lessons with students from a very low level and tried bringing them up to an high intermediate level. What happened was the situation is currently happening. I couldn't have students come to my house to record. So I started recording. I started the podcast in 2000, like the whole radio experience in 2015, November 2015. And I have not once recorded a show by myself, ever. Like if all of my students canceled, I would actually cancel the radio show. I was like, that's it. Put on a repeat. I'm not going to record by myself. Yeah. Exactly. So what I found myself doing now was I launched the English O'Clock 2.0 podcast on March 2nd. I had a few shows pre-recorded, about, I don't know, 6 or 7. And then I ran out of material. So I was like, what do I do? Either I stop, and it was kind of a big deal for me, because I stopped doing the radio in January. So I kind of had February to think about everything. And then I was like, fine, I'm doing this. I got my microphones, I got my home studio, I start recording, and then boom. And I was like, exactly, the world literally stopped. And you're like, all right, what do I do now? And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to try myself at this. I'm just going to explain to people what the thing is now, and kind of just be by myself and talk by myself into the microphone. And that's what I've been doing. And I'm discovering that I really like it. Something that I thought was impossible before. And I wouldn't even have tried it if it weren't for this situation. Because it was necessary for me to either say I'm continuing with this or I'm completely stopping. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give it a try. If I don't like it, I can still stop. And turns out that I really like it.
That's
so yeah.
It's so interesting, like how, this whole situation is bringing up a lot of things for a lot of people, but I'm just wondering, is there a way, do you think that that's going to be like maybe a permanent change in how you view opportunities in future? Like in the future, if you had that moment of, I don't know, I don't think I can do this, do you think you would now, because of this, be more willing to go like, well, why not try it? Even if there aren't these huge external circumstances making it kind of like it's this or it's nothing. How do you think this will change your perspective in the future?
I think I would definitely be less hesitant to doing it. I am a person who, I have like the split personality within me, where something inside me says, no, there's no way you're going to do it. And then some little thing says, yes, but I actually say this yes out loud, so there's no way of going back on it. So if people ask me to do something that I'm not 100% comfortable with, my natural reaction is like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I want to do this. And then before saying I don't think I can do this, what comes out is, sure, I'll do it. And then I deal with the consequences later. So so that had been happening for a long time before this whole situation happened. And because I was kind of forced into either stopping or continuing the work, I think I'm going to be less hesitant in the future and just embrace living outside my comfort zone a bit more, even a bit more, and just saying yes to things. And because I can always decide if I like it or not
Yeah.
after trying it.
And
so absolutely, yes.
How did you get to the point? Is that something that you found really natural, this thing of having, because I think we all have that split personality, by the way, like all of us have a little gremlin that's like, no.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you have to work on that thing of having your little like no voice and then just saying yes anyway? Or is that something that's always kind of come natural to you?
No, it is definitely something that I acquired over time. It has to do with kind of getting to know yourself. And the older we get, I think the more we get to know ourselves.
Yeah.
But I do think it's due to the circumstances that the more experience you gain in life, and the more you go back and think, what if I had said no to that?
Yeah.
Where would I be? And I'm not a person who says, I wish I could go back in time and do it differently, because what I do because I want to do it. More or less feeling more or less comfortable, but I still want to do it. And I'm curious about it, So yeah, I mean, it's something that I acquired over time, and it's something that I think when you go back in retrospect and think, what if I had said no to the TV show? What if I had said no to the radio? Where would I be? Like, how many doors would still be closed? Others, I'm sure, would be open.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't be in the same place where I am now, and I really like the place I am now in. So, yeah.
And I love the idea of like, if you could go back and tell like 14, 15-year-old Julia that by the time you got to this point in life, you would have published 4 books, had a TV show, had a radio show, had your own like.
Yeah.
Imagine what she would say.
But
that's really cool.
I'm also like, I did one exercise which was really fun. Instead, well, obviously going back and telling 15-year-old Julia, but then I received a letter from 100-year-old Julia, which is kind of like everything I worry about now and all the insecurities I have now. That 100-year-old Julia is like, dude, you're doing the right thing right now. You're awesome. I love you. I got your back. And it's like, woo. It's like, it's really, really cool, because we, like, essentially me, the 36-year-old Julia, is the same to my 15-year-old Julia that what 100-year-old Julia is to me right now, so like putting everything into perspective is for me, it's very healthy and very fun even,
and writing from that different perspective, that's a great activity.
Yeah.
Well, that's my coffee break time over. Afraid we're gonna have to leave it here, but we're gonna link all of your links to your podcast and your book and whatever else you would like us to link. Instagram.
Great.
It'll be somewhere around this video, up, down, next to, don't know where yet. It'll be there.
Awesome.
So thank you for joining me, and enjoy the rest.
Thank you for having me. It was amazing. Good fun. Thank you.